Good evening and welcome to the Voices of the Vic. You're joined this evening by myself, Joe Thomas, and also Caity Kirkley. Apologies, sorry for the mishap at the beginning there. The screen came up with Christmas special. Just to let everyone know, this is not the Christmas special. Apologies. That is going to be. I will plug it a bit more at the end, but it is actually out on Wednesday. So yeah, the wrong screen came up there. So apologies for that. But no, we're here this evening to discuss the 2-1 win over West Bromwich Albion yesterday. A superb 2-1 victory at Vicarage Road, which has kept Tom Cleverley's unbeaten run going now on 16 games dating back to the middle of March, which is quite extraordinary. But first of all, first things first, Caity, you were at the game yesterday. I know it was your first game back at the Vic for a little while. How was it? And was it good to be back?
Yeah, no, it was really nice. I hadn't been since I'd gone to uni. So beginning of September, I think it was my last game was that Coventry 1-1 draw. So yeah, it was really nice to be back. It was actually quite busy yesterday after not seeing it that busy before. But no, it was really nice. I was really worried that we'd end our unbeaten streak because, it's just, of course, the day that you were going, it would be bad. But we played really well and we kept it going. So I was happy to see another win. And yeah.
Yeah, obviously that last game you were obviously out, the Coventry game was a bit of an edgy game, wasn't it? And we were in danger of losing it then. But yeah, obviously, again, tough opposition yesterday in West Brom. They were going into it 12 games unbeaten. So it was kind of one of them games where you felt that something had to give, either us losing our home unbeaten run or West Brom obviously losing their, I would say, superb run. But obviously, as we know, with the 12 games they were unbeaten, there was 11 draws, wasn't it, in that, I think?
Yeah, something.
Or 10, it was either 10 or 11 draws. But yeah, a ridiculous amount of draws. But yeah, just before we kind of go through, and obviously we're going to speak about the team and how everybody did yesterday. How did you feel the game went overall? Did you feel that we were up for the challenge from the start? And what do you kind of think? I'll kind of do this a little bit differently because I usually do a question like this at the end. But do you think that we could be considered as actual playoff contenders after that game yesterday?
Yeah, I've been saying for weeks on Twitter in our group chat how I was sick of Cleverley starting with a weaker side and then keeping the subs like Vata and Bar for the end of the game. And having Georgie, Bar, Vata and Bayo all playing from the get-go was really, really strong. I mean, the first half was like we were the better side. We obviously got the goal and we weren't playing catch up. They were, trying to keep us at bay instead of it's normally the opposite. West Brom genuinely had they had a couple of chances here and there throughout the game, but in the first half, definitely I thought that we played really, really well. I think it was a very statement game, and people have been saying before, if we win this, if we can get points here, it shows that we are contenders for playoffs. Obviously, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves and start saying that we are going to be in the playoffs. However, it puts us in a good position because, you're beating the teams around you. And I was saying to my dad in the car on the way back, I was like, any other season, we would have got in our head about that game. We would have gone, oh, they've not lost in like however many games. They've just off the back of a win against Coventry. And then we would have probably gone out there and lost that because we just would get in our head about it, which we always do. And we didn't. We were really strong throughout. Even when they scored, I think we still went and tried to, they were going for it when they scored, and they had about 10 minutes of quite, attacking football. But we still held, obviously it's a bit nervy, but we still held together. And I have to say, I really wasn't impressed with West Brom. I expected a lot more from them. I really thought that they were going to be a tough game for us. considering their run and the Coventry game, but they were nothing really.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously just having a quick look at the table, they've lost only 3 games this season when you consider like Sunderland, Burnley. Well, Burnley have lost 2. Sunderland and Leeds have both lost 3. Sheffield United and Burnley 2. They're kind of floating around there. It's just the draws that have let them down. But when you look at the table as well, it's just worth pointing out, taking us out of the top 8, West Brom completing that top 8. We've played 5 of the teams so far, and we've won all 5, which is incredible, really. To have beaten. Sorry, no, we haven't beaten all 5. Sorry, we lost to Leeds, didn't we? My apologies. So we beat Sunderland, we beat Blackburn, we beat Borough, we beat West Brom. We lost to Leeds. It was a tight 2-1 defeat, but we played well that night. We've obviously got Burnley next. That's our next game away, which is going to be, again, we'll know, tough opposition. But usually I find we struggle against those teams at the top. But I think we've done all right, and we've kind of shown that we can compete with the best in the league this year so far. It's actually been the bottom of the league that's let us down this year, where we've got some of them silly results. Obviously, we know QPR was 0-0, Plymouth was 2-2, Hull 1-1. It's disappointing when you kind of put that into context and kind of think, if we'd have just been a little bit better. It's a shame as well. Obviously, we've got that game in hand with Cardiff. Obviously, if we can get a win there, it puts us, up a position above Borough, who have played a game more. Obviously, that game is going to be the middle of January. So, I think we're in a great position. We've got a good run of games coming up after Burnley as well. Obviously, I did say that if we could get 2 points out of West Brom and Burnley, I'd be delighted. Obviously, we've got 3 so far. Would you be disappointed not getting anything at Burnley, or would you kind of think, 2 games against 2 teams that are doing very well at the moment, take 1 win and 1 defeat, or would you be wanting us to at least get a draw at Burnley?
Yeah, I think I think with the away form, it obviously puts us at a disadvantage because what we're like away. So the expectations are instantly lower. However, that's got to change if you're going to start challenging for the playoffs. It's still very tight and close, even though we are 7th, 6th. I don't know what we are.
Joint. Yeah, we're level on points. Borough 6th, 34, with 7th, 34, but they've scored 7 plus 7 goal difference over us.
Yeah, so it's still very tight, and we've noticed if we lose a game and everyone else around us wins, we do drop significantly. So I think it's about building momentum, and you would expect us to go to Burnley with confidence. I mean, it's not going to be easy because, like you said, they're doing really well as well. So yeah, I would be. I've said in a group chat or something, I was like, obviously we've won yesterday. I think a draw at Burnley is probably I would be happy, very happy with a draw. But if we lose, I'm not going to be like that upset, because I think our next 3 games are winnable, and they should be winnable. Those 2 games, the Portsmouth and the Cardiff home game, those are we should win both of those. So it is about kind of not letting, if you do lose, if we do lose to Burnley, it's okay. You put it right next week. And like they say, don't they say, like, win your homes, draw your aways, and you'll be good. So I don't know. I think we should go with more confidence. And obviously we're all going to want us to win, but I can see it not, just because Burnley have done really well.
Yeah, Burnley got a cracking result yesterday at Norwich, and I don't know if you saw one of the goals there. I think it was at Zach Fleming.
I
think
did.
his name is an absolute perler from near 30 yards. It was brilliant. So
they're going to be high in spirits as well. So
yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. But from what I've seen, I've watched Burnley a few times on the telly this season, and they haven't been great. And I think based on what we saw yesterday, and I'll just kind of bring this in with what Matt's said. Hey, Joe, Katie, I hope you're both well. Yeah, we're good. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for tuning in again. I hope you're good as well, mate. What result? Feel like we need to play the three of Vata, Bar and Chadvikatsi more together. The three of them combined was incredible and gave us more space. It is something that, I was going to kind of bring in later, but it could be a great game for them. Like say what I've seen of Burnley, they look quite boring, and if they were kind of pressed with players that we've got, who knows, what we could do there. So, it's also worth pointing out Mike sent us something earlier, didn't he, in the group chat saying about the points tally after 20 games of the season. Going back, 2, 4, 6, 7 of the so 7 seasons in the Championship we've had for the Pozos, and this is the joint best with the 2021 season tally, and that was obviously the year we went on to get promoted. So it's been a good start from the guys. So if they can keep it up, who knows where we could be at the end of the season. Obviously, it's quite exciting times, isn't it? So, so just obviously going into the team yesterday, Daniel Backman, obviously, we know he's starting in goal. It's a no-brainer when he's fit, unless we hear otherwise that he's injured. I don't know what you made of his overall performance, Katie, but for me, and I dug him out as soon as I saw it, the goal was hideous to watch. And it's just so annoying that a mistake like that. And, you hear commentators say time and time again, when a keeper's kept quiet, how often do you see keepers get caught out with just opportunities, just strikes like that? Just kind of, it was a bit of a hit and hope. He was hitting it down the middle. I don't think he was probably expecting it to go in. Obviously, he wanted it to go in, but it should never have got there. It was a mistake in my eyes. Do you agree? And how did you think he fared the rest of the game?
Yeah, I mean, it was a mistake on his behalf. However, but we know that Backman makes those types of mistakes. And I have to say, he's been really good the last couple of games. Really stepped up, I think, since he's had those wobbly games earlier in the season. But yeah, it's like you said. I mean, watching it, you're like, oh my god, what is he doing? And from where it was, it looked like the guy had quite a lot of time to kind of line up his shot as well, because it kind of falls to him for longer than just like a beat. And then he obviously tries to tip it, and it's like he just bats it in his own net, and it's like that type of stuff is why people get a bit on the Backman's back. However, he made some great saves in the rest of the game. Obviously, it's annoying because when it's 2-1 and there's more pressure, and like I said earlier, they really went for it. They made, just before that goal, they made like a triple change, and then they scored literally like 30 seconds afterwards. And then they were really going for it again for another like 5 minutes or something. So it obviously just adds unnecessary pressure, but I'm not going to sit here and slate him, because I think that he did really well. Apart from that moment, there's nothing else that I would criticize.
Yeah, I completely agree with you as well. He's definitely stepped up over the past few games. Like in Bristol City, off the top of my head, was one where he'd made a few saves, and he's kept us in games quite a bit over the last few weeks. So yeah, obviously it's not ideal. It didn't cost us yesterday, but we just need him to be a bit more alert when the opposition's getting in positions like that. But yeah, moving on to the back four. Obviously, Clevs went with a flat back four yesterday as opposed to the three with the two wing backs. Played Morris left back and Gakia right back. And Gakia, how did you feel about him getting a start in place yesterday, and how did you think he did on that right hand side?
Well, I'm the first to dish out Ngakia hate. Like, I really do not like him. But I think since he's come in from this injury, he has really been good. And yesterday, I think he had one of his best games in a Watford shirt. I always thought that when he was injured and coming back and forth, he never played long enough to really get much of a grips of what the player he can be. And I think obviously that does just come down to, this guy's injured like all the time. You're obviously going to it's a mental game for him of should he go for that tackle? Should he do this? And I think yesterday he was just playing like free, like you never saw him half-arsed or worrying about the tackle. So he was excellent. I thought he was quick. He was defending well. He was very sharp. I think, did he play the full 90 minutes? I don't think
he did. Yeah, he did play a full 90 yesterday. Yeah.
I mean, there was no evidence of tiredness or, slugging at the end. He was really, really good. I mean, he deserves a lot of credit for yesterday because I thought he was excellent.
Yeah, the only criticism I'd have, obviously, as I say, I didn't watch the game. Unfortunately, I've only seen highlights, but I noticed on 2 different sets of highlights, he was a little bit lazy in getting out to the cross when the initial ball was going in for the goal that West Brom scored. Like when you watch him, he was just a little bit slow coming out. However, other than that, I've seen nothing but positive comments on social media, and we've seen what he can do in a Watford shirt when he's fit. And I think, if he can remain fit, get a good run of games, then there's no reason why he couldn't be in that right back position more this season. But obviously, as we know, we've got Ryan Andrews and Festi Ebicelli as well, so he's got some competition. Obviously, we know Ebicelli's played a few times down the left hand side, so there's that option. But yeah, there's great competition in those positions at the moment. Going over to the left back position, obviously James Morris has been all season playing in the left hand side of a back 3, so it was a bit different for him yesterday. He was obviously had that role of being able to go forward and a bit more freedom rather than having to stay back. Were you impressed with him in that position, just as you have been, obviously, of him playing centre back? Because, for me, when I saw him back in the team, I was really excited yesterday, but, a little bit nervous because we've seen him, I think, last season he played in that left back position and he got caught out a few times and didn't look that was kind of his right place within the side. But obviously, he's done a lot better this season, isn't he? So, yeah, how did you think he did yesterday?
He was the one player who I genuinely think did struggle a bit yesterday. Just watching him throughout the game, he was constantly losing his man. He was constantly getting beaten. I don't know who was on that side for West Brom, but every time he was getting that ball past him and in the box. And I think and obviously because we did play well, it probably was masked a bit more. And I still think he had a solid game. However, because everyone else played quite well, he did stick out to me as someone who struggled. But like you said, it's a different role. He's not necessarily used to it. And he still did fine. It was more just you notice he was constantly getting beaten. And I was saying in the game, I was like, he's always losing his man. His man is always getting in the box. And you could just tell he was tired and he was running around a lot more than he's probably used to. And yeah, so no, I don't think it was horrific. However, for me, looking back at the game, if I'm thinking about negatives, he sticks out to me as someone who was struggling.
Yeah, he. I noticed with the first goal. We'll just talk about that a little bit. He had the ball, threaded it through to Chak, and Chak drove forward, put it out wide, and Rocco Vata was the one that put the ball in. But obviously, Morris was there, good pass to Chak, and started the move off. So, I'd say from last season, what we saw of Morris in that left back position, it didn't fill me with confidence yesterday, especially as he does suit the back 3 a bit better. But yeah, like I say, hopefully he's not going to play there too much, especially when we've got people like Yasser Larouci. I just, it's a bit of an odd one to kind of put. I always say this, and I don't know if you agree as much as me, but playing people out of position just really winds me up when you've got players that can play on that side or in positions, and you're playing someone ahead of that person that not shouldn't necessarily be in that position. It's always going to stick out, isn't it? There's always going to be holes in that. So, but two people that we've relied on so much over the last few months, Ryan Porteous and Matty Pollock, they formed a real partnership together, haven't they? Whether it be as in the three or whether they play as a 4-4-2, when they play together, they're fantastic together, aren't they? You know, we're rarely seeing mistakes from the two of them these days, are we? It's you know, one of my favourite partnerships, I have to say, over the last few years. Are you impressed by how they're playing together?
Yeah, I mean, Matty Pollock, for starters, he is immense. This guy, I was like, oh, Wesley who? Like, he's the best, and when he leaves, we're gonna be rubbish. Like, Matty Pollock, dare I say, he might even be better than Wesley Hood. Like, he's jumped straight into those shoes, and he has been one of our most consistent defenders. Because how many times in Watford history have we sat on this pod and gone, "Yeah, our defense is rubbish. Our defense is so bad. We have awful defenders. Our defense is so poor." That was always our weak point, and now I finally feel like we have solid defense who, you know, yeah, okay, they're going to concede goals here and there. There's going to be tough games, but we always rely on Matty Pollock, and he always puts in a shift. And I think Porteous as well, you know, he had a tough summer. He came back. He wasn't ready. He had that time to just get back to that. Now he's back to it. He said it himself. He feels so much better. He feels like he's at his, you know, best position. And I love that for him, because I love that he's able to play like how he did. And yesterday, I think he had a brilliant game as well. Again, probably one of his better games. When they're playing, there's a lot of trust in them. I never would feel like that about Watford defenders, but when them two are playing, I'm never worried about that partnership.
Yeah, it's interesting actually. I've got the comment here. Does Ogbonna come straight back into the side next weekend? Tom said he should be available. It's actually one thing I was just about to bring up, saying we're talking about these guys when you know we've still got people out injured, and it's actually amazing to think that, you know, this defence could actually get stronger. Although, you know, we've conceded 5 goals at home this year, which is brilliant. You know, we're obviously not conceding many. It's an interesting one. What would you do next week if you had Ogbonna available? Would you stick with the same formation that he's doing? Would you mix it up and go back to the 3-5-3? The 3-5-2 formation, or would you bring Ogbonna straight back in and drop Morris? You know, if Morris was going to start at that left sided of a back three, would you bring Ogbonna in over him at the moment, or would you just leave things out how they are?
I would probably leave things as they are. And Phillips also just said in the chat as well that he has to get back into the team on merit. And I think that's so true. And we saw the uproar when Bachmann kind of got brought straight back in when Bond was performing well. I don't agree with that. I think you have to earn your place in the team. I can definitely see Ogbonna probably playing soon. I think he could play one of the games, the Boxing Day game or the Cardiff game, just in a rotation sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he will get a look in. I think, like I just said, rotation, that will probably play a huge factor into if he gets a start. For me, Burnley, I'd keep it how it is because I think it worked really well yesterday, and the system worked, the formation worked. Obviously, yeah, I've said that Morris was poor, but the one thing that Morris does is that he's learning constantly, and you see him improve. If he has a poor game, the next game you're not sitting here going, "Oh, he was poor again." Like, he does learn as he's going. So I think it's harsh to drop anyone after that performance yesterday, and the confidence will be flowing. So, and obviously Cleverly saying that Ogbonna might be ready for next weekend, and that might be true, but who knows? It's not someone I would risk. It's not a complete change up that I would do. I would just stick with it for now. But that doesn't mean I don't want to see Ogbonna play, because he was really, really good when he was playing, and I think he should play, but I think he'll play more on a rotation basis.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you say, as someone who's been out for such a long period of time with a bad injury, why bring him straight back in and risk him? Even if he is ready, just slowly integrate him back into the side, give him minutes here and there, and then start him when he's ready. But this is a interesting comment as well that Matt's put in as well, saying it's almost like Pollock and Porteous have said to themselves that we've lost one of our strongest defenders and need to pick up their game. It's probably right. They probably look at the quality of Ogbonna in training, look at him and think, crikey, this guy's obviously come from West Ham. He's got good Premier League experience. They obviously want to make sure that they cement their starting positions. And I think over the last few weeks with their performances, for me, I can't see either of them coming out of the side. So it is going to be Morris if it's that back three, or he'll just have to wait his turn if Tom sticks with this formation that he went with yesterday, which, as I said before we came on, Sky Sports had it down as a 4-1-4-1, but as I've seen it in recent weeks, it seems to be a 4-2-3-1. I think that they're playing. But yeah, going into the midfield yesterday, obviously Moussa Sissoko came back into the side yesterday and started. I've had a lot of criticism of him over the last few weeks. I don't think he's been anywhere near his best. A lot of people said, and I've seen this on Twitter, is a lot of people were praising him yesterday and said that he was actually it was one of his better games in a Watford shirt this season. Were you impressed with him starting yesterday?
Yeah, first half he was horrific. I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, or I don't know if it would have been on the highlights, but he did a foul and then the ref was going to card him, and then he didn't go over to the ref. Like, the ref was calling him over. He blew the whistle like twice and he was just walking away, and it was giving, can you just go over there and talk to him? He's going to give you a red. Like, you're going to get sent off. It was really, really odd. And I was thinking, oh my God, what is he doing? I'm like, club captain, and you won't even go and talk to the referee. It's a bit of a bad example. And he was lucky to not get sent off then, because I think that he very easily could have. Second half, he was loads better. He, like people have been saying, it was definitely one of his best performances, from since the earlier season. But no, he did really well. He did a lot of calming the team down when they scored. He put in some great challenges, which just killed the momentum that they were having. And even at the end of the game, when, that's the thing about Musa, I always think, is that he always has all his energy at the end of the game. He'll play for 90 minutes, and then at the end of the game, he's going in, bashing people up, and I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah,
he's tired. So he does have that element, and I do think in the second half he was much, much better than he has been. So he deserves credit for that. But the ref incident, I don't know, that was a bit weird.
Yeah, I remember you saying in our chat, it was like, what's he doing? Why won't he go over to the ref? It's all a bit odd. It is a bit of a strange one, because if he had been booked again, it's not like he'd have been given a free game ban and got Christmas off, because it'd have been 2 yellows, so he'd have only missed the Burnley game next week.
It was why would you risk? I don't know what he was thinking. It was weird, but
yeah, it's strange. But yeah, I'm glad he was better, obviously, yesterday, because like I say, I've been quite critical of him over the past few weeks, and I do like Sissoko. I do like his attitude.
yeah,
I do like
well.
he cares about the team. You can see that. But yeah, he just needed to step up a little bit. And yeah, yesterday he did, by the sounds of it. We just had a comment here. Is that Banksy artwork, Katie, framed in the background?
Yeah.
There we go.
From Amsterdam.
Imran Louza, obviously he's I'm one of his biggest fans. I've been absolutely delighted to see him come back into the side ever since we saw him over pre-season. I know Cam was saying a lot over pre-season that, he's looking like he's probably going to leave. I was saying, even if he is, his attitude coming back into the squad and being brought back in and around the camp, has been fantastic. He, from all his posts, even when we've lost games this season and he wasn't included, he was been posting on social media saying, we're all in this together. You can clearly see he cares, and you can clearly see that on the pitch at the moment, can't you? He's been putting in some superb performances. Obviously, I didn't get to see how he did yesterday, but yeah, have you been overall impressed with him over the last few weeks?
Yeah, he's been excellent as well. I think with him coming back into the team, obviously there was skepticals about him because no one was really sure what his intentions were. There was lots of chat about him leaving. But ever since he's come back in, I think he's done really, really well. The partnership in midfield that he has with Sissoko is really good as well. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that he stood out to me yesterday but then he also didn't stick out to me in a negative way. I think one thing about Loser is that he likes to really drive that ball forward a lot, and that's what I like about him. He does add that attacking presence into the team. I think he's done excellent, and we've seen now that he's playing week in, week out. He has earned that role in the team, and I'm glad that he's letting him play, because I think he's having some of the best game time that he's had and played the best that he has since he's joined.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's only going to get better as well, and I think obviously there's no time frame on when Tom Delabashira is coming back. It sounds like it's going to be a long time. So I think he's there to, as long as he stays fit, he's there to stay for a while, I think, isn't he? But again, it's great. We've got obviously other options there. I still would love to see Duomo and Loser play together in a midfield in a game, because I think from what we've seen of Duomo, I think they could be brilliant. And we've seen comments here and there from the pair of them as well. They look really excited when they get the opportunity. So yeah, hopefully we haven't got too long to wait for that. Moving over to Georgie Chadvikatsi. He obviously was heavily involved yesterday with crosses going into the box. He was the one who threaded the ball for Vata for the first goal. There was an opportunity that I saw where he put the ball in for Vacuum Bayo that was saved point blank range from the header at the start of the second half. He seemed heavily involved in a lot of the play yesterday. I did also hear, and I haven't seen this, but one of the comments in a chat I'm in was that Chak's a greedy fucker. So I'm guessing that he did something at the end where he should have passed to somebody and went for goal, and it didn't come off. So, but yeah, we know what we're going to get with Chadvikatsi every week now, don't we? But were you impressed with him again yesterday? Did he stick out for you?
I was really impressed with him, and I have been criticizing him recently because I think he does so much. He does everything. He just can't score. And it's not that he can't score. He does all the hard bit. He will literally dribble the entire length of the pitch. He will beat 6 players. And then as soon as he gets to the goal, he doesn't know what to do. And it's every time there's someone in a better position, he tries to shoot. Every time there's not someone in a better position, he passes it. It's just that final ball that's missing. However, yesterday was one of his best games that I've necessarily seen him in. He was insane, genuinely. The amount that this guy is running, the amount of times he wins the ball, the amount of time he beats his man, I'm like, oh my God, why are you at Watford? You should be off wherever, someone way better than us. He was excellent, and you can just tell that he wants that goal, and it will come. but there was a couple moments where, you know, he's trying to shoot from impossible angles and like bar is right in front of the goal, and it's like just literally a tap is all you need, and he's trying to go for goal, and you can't get annoyed at him because he obviously just wants to score. But I saw a tweet saying how it's almost like we need to tell Georgie, like, you do enough for us. You don't need to score. Like, we don't care
Yeah,
if you're scoring. You do everything else. It's not about the goal. Obviously, he'll probably want a goal, but we don't look at him and go, "Oh, he's good, but he doesn't score." Like, that's not what we think about him. So you can tell that he's really, really just wants that goal. However, sometimes it's frustrating because other players are in such better positions and he's just trying to fly it in from, you know, the corner flag.
yeah, yeah, and it's interesting because like you say, I'm pretty sure that comment from Tom earlier in the season where he said, if he was to score goals, he would get into a top four side in the Premier League. He's that good, and I don't disagree. To be honest with you, I don't disagree with him. We see when he's got the ball at his feet. I've seen some exciting players at Watford over the Pozo era, but he is genuinely real quality, and he does just need to have goals. And like you say, every time, even at Hull, he had that opportunity where he got the ball and he just kind of dinked it past one, dinked it past another, got himself in a position where you think he is going to try shooting in a second, and he did, and it just went over. So he's getting closer, and I really do hope that it comes. And it'll be interesting to see when it does come whether it starts raining goals, like they say London buses, you don't get one, they all come at once, and he could just score week after week then, which would just be great. But just a couple of comments, just not obviously ignoring you guys. Matt said one thing I heard when watching the game was when Bayo knocked the ball off for a throw-in, Soka shouted at him to leave the ball and get back on the pitch. It's good that your captain's stepping up and being vocal towards the team. He also said losers putting balls into the box and corners, which actually beating the first man makes a change. Yeah, you know what? That's one of my pet hates, and I joke about this every week. I say, like, a player should be docked wages if they can't put a corner into the box and it beats. You're like, that's just every week it annoys me. You watch whether it be Chavakatsi, loser. Trying to think who else has been taking corners this year, but sometimes it's just been dreadful. I mean, I remember when Cam and I were at Gillingham, Vata was on corners, and I think 6 out of his 7 that he took in the first half were absolutely superb. So yeah, it'd be good. I don't know if Vata took any yesterday, but it'd be good to see him on them. Good to see variation from corners yesterday. A couple of different set piece routines. Yeah, it's good. It's brilliant that we're mixing it up, and we've got the players to mix it up as well. Philip Crouch with a comment here saying, would you play Ngakia at Burnley or bring back Andrews or Ebisele? It's a tough one, that. I don't know, because obviously you said, he did well over the 90 yesterday, but he did play a full 90. It's whether he did start the game at Hull, didn't he? He came off for Ryan Andrews, didn't he? So he started and he played quite a few minutes over the last 2 games. I'd be really surprised, if I'm being completely honest, if Ngakia gets a start at Burnley.
Really?
Yeah, not because I don't believe he deserves it, just because I think, we've said this, and I just want to throw caution to this here when I say this is, we saw Tom Delibashiru heavily strapped up for a little while, and there was clearly a bit of a niggle there, and he was playing still, obviously, whether it through injection or what. But Ngakia is the same at the moment. He is heavily strapped up. I'm not saying he's not fit, but there's still obviously potentially some kind of niggle there that they probably don't want to get worse. But I'd maybe not start him next week, just because I wouldn't want him to get too many minutes and cause issue to whatever that is. However, if he does start, he deserves it, because, like you say, he's been good since he's come back. What would your opinion on that be, Caity? Would you start him next week?
I'd probably start him. However, I agree with watching the minutes. I'd probably say if he starts, I doubt he would play the full 90. I think he deserves to start, but it's probably thinking more like he'd play up to the 60 minutes and he'd probably only play that. And you have to think ahead. You have to think about those 2 games at home. I'm not saying that you wouldn't want to play your best team at Burnley in the sense of like you think you're going to lose, but I'd rather be saving people for those home games because you know that they are the ones where you're gonna, and it's 2 games in a row there. The Burnley game, and well, it's 3 games in a week. Like,
It is. It's 26th, 29th and 1st. So
yeah, so it's tough, and
after Burnley, that is obviously.
you have to think about game management and workload for the players. So I think for me, Ngakia stays, and I think he deserves to start. However, we could see more of a like sub rotation there throughout the game, and obviously, you just think about how the game's going. If we're really struggling, then you make those changes. But I think he'll stick with it. But I don't know.
Yeah, you never know with the amount of players that we have got. You just, as much as we kind of like to sit here and say, well, we'd like this person to start. You just don't know with Tom, really, do you? So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Evening, Michael. He's commented, say, Ngakia has to stay for me. Yeah, well, like I say, if he does, then it'll be on merit because he's played really well. So, we'll move over to the dynamic duo, as I think they'll be called for a little while now. Quadro Bar, kind of from what I've heard, he had a good game yesterday, but it's a little bit quiet compared to what he has been over the last few weeks. Obviously, he deserved to start yesterday after coming on at Hull with his great mazy run that put the ball in for Rocco Vata. What did you think of his overall performance yesterday?
Yeah, he was, like you said, I think he wasn't a necessarily standout for me, but it's the way that he affects the game. And I have always said that I think Bayo always acts better when you're getting that kind of service on people like Bar and Vata. And Bar is that player. The amount of balls that he is getting into that box and his positioning is just, it's what we've always been screaming for. We've always been screaming for that type of player, to have someone who is like that. And I think when he doesn't like score or assist, everyone's like, oh yeah, he had a bit of a quiet game. And it's because the expectation's high for him to do really well. I think he still had a really great game, and I would want him to continue to start because that front attacking players yesterday was absolutely lethal, and it showed.
Yeah, it's a great. They're both great players, him and Vata, and obviously we'll talk about Vata now. He had that opportunity where he hit the bar from the shot in the first half, obviously at 0-0. A great shot, very unlucky not to go in, but the crosses for both the goals were just brilliant. Great play. Obviously, the first one didn't do as much down the left-hand side other than receive the ball well and put it in with a first-time cross. And I say this so many times: if a ball comes to your feet and you put the ball in the box, it doesn't give the defence too much time to set themselves. He put the ball in the box, Bayo headed the ball. West Brom weren't ready for the first time cross. When we mess around with the ball on the edge of the box and give defenders time to set themselves for a ball coming in, 9 times out of 10 it ain't going to come off because they're ready for whatever's coming. And obviously yesterday with that first time cross, it was the same for the second one. It was superb play where he dinked the ball past the defender. Obviously put the ball into the box. There was a question mark. I don't think it was a foul for me. I think Madra has to be stronger. Pollock's just stood his ground. But yeah, I thought Vata was absolutely superb yesterday. And looking at his stats, he's actually, I think, almost kind of level in terms of goal contributions with Bar, and he's obviously played a lot less minutes. Do you think Vata's going to be... Can you see Vata being more of a starter now moving forward? Now he's proven that he's ready to step up?
he's excellent. And I think that he's waited his turn. He has sat on the bench. He's shown where he has that quality, where he can. And now we're really seeing him. You know, you see the assists, you see that he has no fear. Like, this guy will go into every single challenge. He's doing tricks after tricks. He's beating, you know, professional, experienced players. And he is literally like a little pocket rocket. He really reminds me of Delafeu. Like, they have the same kind of like style of play. But he has to start for me. He is such an explosive burst of energy on that pitch. And, you know, like you said, he's on same numbers of goal contributions as Bar, and Bar's played probably double what Batter's been playing. He deserves every game that he plays. He is such an asset for us. I can't believe we got him for so cheap. Like, he is going all the way to the top, and I hope that we keep him and play him for as long as we can, because he deserves it.
Yeah, I agree. A really, really exciting player. And just a quick mention on Delafeu, if you do see this comment or see this any part of this video and you do want to come back to Watford to help us get back to the Premier League, come home, please. Because I don't know if you've seen the graphic of you in the latest Watford shirt, but it looks fantastic. So if you do want to come and put a shirt on and get back into that starting 11, we will welcome it with open arms. But yeah, so obviously, you know, Vata, superb. I was going to actually say, you reminded me a little bit of a slightly better version of Fernando Forestieri for me. He just like that, like you say, that style of football, quick movement, good at keeping the ball at his feet. But you know, he's adding assists and goals to his game now. And you know, we saw from the games that he played in the League Cup at the start of the season that it was going to be something special there. And it's just fantastic that he's actually getting an opportunity now. And we're seeing him at his best. So, but yeah, another man we need to give a lot of praise to. You know, we've given him a lot of grief at times, but he's now on 9 goals for the season, nearly in double figures, and we're not at Christmas yet. And I didn't think we'd be saying that about a striker this season. So, yeah, Bayo for me, you know, he's stepping up, isn't he, at the moment, and he's playing really well. I mean, those goals yesterday, the header, the chest down, and the finish for the second goal yesterday, and he also got himself in some good positions, didn't he, with other opportunities. He's really stepping up and proving that he wants that number 9 position, doesn't he, for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of debate about him and Rajovic and about how people think that they're who's better, who's not. And you cannot fault. I have no problem with a striker as long as you are scoring goals. You could be rubbish, and if you're scoring goals, I don't care. That's what you're supposed to be, and that's what Bayo's role is, and that's what he's doing. You know, he is scoring goals. And actually, looking back, the second goal, it's actually a really good piece of skill from him. The way that he takes that touch and turns to almost like volley it. It's like, oh, like, you're actually good. Like, you can actually do that. And I think it helps being fed by people like Vata and Bar and Georgie, because all he needs is to be in that right place at the right time, and he's going to score. He'll put that away. I don't think he was struggling for a long time with just being in front of goal and not really knowing what to do when the ball fell to him. He still has that 1 or 2 shots where he proper like throws it in the other direction, but he is doing so much better. I think he deserves praise because he's definitely improved, and you know, the goals show for it. So he's been excellent. And like we said, he's not someone, you know, when you've got someone like Jebison, I'm sure we'll talk about him, but you can't, as much as I want Jebison to get the chance, Bayo is doing well, and it's not something where you can be like, okay, well, we're just going to take him off. Jebison, you play. You know, we're in a position now, and as we get closer to January and further, we can't keep saying, oh, well, it's only the beginning. Like, if we were going to win games, we want our best team to be playing. We want our goal scorer to be playing. We're not in a position where we can be like, yeah, let's test this out. Let's try and give this guy a go. Like, it's not. No. Like, if we are going to be serious contenders for playoffs or to finish as high as possible, we need to be playing the team that is going to win us the game. And at the moment, that's someone like Bayo because he is scoring the goals.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we've obviously wanted to see Jefferson on many occasions this season, and he obviously got back into the squad yesterday. It was obviously pointed out by Cam, wasn't it? In our chat in the week, that Jefferson has actually played for 2 clubs this season, so he can't actually play for anyone else other than Bournemouth. So if we were to, if that loan was to terminate, he's probably either not going to get much game time left if he going back to Bournemouth. And, what are we going to do? Because if the rumours are true, and obviously I'll just point out, I did see the comment, Josh, thanks for commenting. What positions would we look at in January? Also, who would you take between Iheanacho and Dennis? And obviously we've seen that Dennis is going to be available and Iheanacho potentially. If it was for me, if Iheanacho was there and for the taking, you'd 100% take Iheanacho, wouldn't you? I mean, it's no disrespect to Dennis. We loved him. He put in a shift for us, but Iheanacho's the best player. And obviously, you having a boyfriend who's a big Leicester fan, he might have a little bit of a love for Watford because Iheanacho was quite a big player for Leicester, wasn't he, during his time there? So, just going down to this comment, CDM better number 9 for Bayo. Me also look to move Sema on. It's an interesting one, isn't it, Sema? Obviously, I don't know, it's because he was playing for Sweden during the international break, but now he just seems to have, he's not really getting a look in now, is he? And I know we saw, I think it was maybe about a month ago now, there was rumours that he might go back to Sweden. Be a shame, but it's probably the right thing, isn't it? If we can get a move in January, probably move him on, Caity.
Yeah, and I have seen some rumours that I think he could be back off to Sweden. I've seen that floating around today just because he's not really been in the squad. I think he probably could have been moved off earlier than now. I think he's sort of been past it for at least a season. Obviously, we love him. He's been a great servant to the club. He's been one of my favourite players, I think, especially a couple of years ago. I do think, though, we have to start thinking about the squad and about improvements. And I think for a lot of years we've kept Sema for the sake of having a squad player or a sub person, and I think that's all he's ever been in the last 2 seasons. He's just been someone to sort of fill the boots, and he's done an okay job. I don't think I've necessarily thought that he's completely past it. He's just not someone who I think, you should be starting week in, week out, and he deserves to go and keep playing football somewhere, and I think he would enjoy going back to Sweden. So it's not something that I'm completely against. But also, if he didn't go, I wouldn't be annoyed if he didn't go. But I think it's time to move him on, and I think him being out of the squad shows that that's probably something that they're thinking about.
Yeah, I agree. And if he does move on, and if January is the time he does move on rather than the summer, I really do hope the club give us the opportunity to say thank you and goodbye because he's been a great servant for the club, and he's
now.
Well, he's the only person remaining from the 2019 FA Cup final squad.
Yeah, so nearly 5 years.
He's been. I think he was obviously here. Maybe 2000 I don't know, 2017 maybe. I think he's been here seven years now. So he's been around for quite a long time. So the fan, he's loved by the fans, and he's obviously he does a lot for the community as well outside of the club.
Yeah, he joined in 2018.
Oh, 2018. Okay, yeah. So he's been around for a long time now.
Yeah.
And Josh has commented back here and saying, agreed, Cypria, I'm going to say this, is it Kipriano? Or Cipriano would be great. Obviously, he's the guy that we were linked with from Peterborough. Watford stupidly going in.
That's never going to happen. It will never happen.
It would if you're Watford going in at a club like Peterborough. on the last day of the transfer window, when we know Peterborough are a club that do sell, they do get good players and they do sell them. Obviously, we know this from Burrows that's at Sheffield United, who I'd have loved at Watford. He would be a great player to push Larouci, or even he'd probably actually start over Larouci, to be honest. You've got to lay the groundwork a lot earlier with Peterborough, and you've got to kind of give them an opportunity to get a replacement in. So if we were to get a player like that, yeah, it'd be great. But, we can't go in like 10 hours before the end of a window shutting and going, yeah, we want to sign him, because it's just not going to happen. They probably were like, yeah, great. But yeah, it'll be interesting because, like you say, another left wing back to push Larouci would, ideally. But then on the other hand, we know that we've got Morris that can play in that flat back four, and we've also got Episele that can play there in the wing back of the three. So he might not actually sign someone and see it look. We've been linked with Maxwell Cornet, haven't we? From is he? I'm going to get this wrong. Is he at West? No, he's not at West Ham anymore. Is he at Burnley now? Or is he? No,
he's at West Ham.
Is he still at West Ham? I can't even remember.
He was at Burn.
He was at he was at Burnley. He went to West Ham. I think he's
still there.
Is he at Southampton at the moment on loan? And then I think Southampton are looking to terminate. I'm sure he's somewhere where he's not getting a game time, and he's going to end up back at West Ham.
Oh yeah, he's currently at Southampton. Yeah.
Yeah. So
he's on loan.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not worked out for him. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether that does come off, because he's a really good Championship player. So with him, and obviously the potential for a striker as well. We could have a really good squad for the second half of the season. But I do also think that means that some people could potentially move on as well. So, and just another comment from Matt, Bayo seems to be closing down a lot more in this game. Plus, I think that he's what he needs is someone who can actually put him in a position where he can have a clear shot on target. Yes, it's right. He seems to be. He's getting a lot better as games are going on, and I'm excited. Who was it? Ben said Rajovic was going to be the top scorer, didn't he, with double figures this year? I don't think anyone did say Bayo was going to be top scorer in our thing. I think we all said that we'd like him to. We'd love him to get like 10, 15 goals. But it'd be interesting to see if, once he gets to 10, will he get to 20? Will he be another Deeney? But yeah, just a quick thing then to summarise on yesterday, Katie. It's a superb 3 points. Tom's doing a fantastic job at home, isn't he? Like, we're just, there's no fear from anyone. Obviously, we've got 2 games, winnable games, as you said earlier, against Portsmouth and Cardiff. If we get through those, I'm saying it's a big if, because both of those teams need to start picking up results, because they're struggling at the bottom. So you're going to get a tough game from both of them, and a completely different opposition to what we're probably going to get from Sheffield United at the start of January. If we do go those 2 games unbeaten, can you see us getting past Sheffield United as well?
I just don't know what it is at home that makes us like this. We will literally play crap on away on like the Wednesday, and then Saturday we're like a different side. I really, really want to know what it is, because it's literally insane. I mean, Sheffield United's going to be probably one of the toughest games, but the festive period is crazy. So much goes on. You play so much football. I think it is about finding momentum and about trying to get a streak going and trying to get like an away win somehow. And then, if you can get a result at Burnley, you're going into the Boxing Day game and the Cardiff game and the QPR game with a lot of confidence. And it's not confidence. It's not something that this team lack. It is the most confident side I've seen for years. Like you said, Cleverley is doing a brilliant job. There is no doubt about that. But it's about fixing this away form. And if you start winning some of those away games, you'll see us climbing, and we're already in around the top. Like, we are doing so well. And they always say January is when the table really starts to like take shape and you start to really see where people are. And obviously, yeah, it is still really close, but I wouldn't necessarily say that we're on the same level as, like, I still think we're doing well and we're a decent side. I wouldn't compare us to like teams lower and around. So I think we just keep going. Like, that's what we're doing, and we're not getting in our head about this type of stuff. There's obviously pressure, but not too much pressure that it's like affecting the game. Because like I said earlier, that West Brom game, any other season we would have got in our head and been like, thrown our hats in because we were scared. And we haven't done that this season. We've gone to every game with a good mindset, apart from obviously like the Luton game and stuff. But yeah, I think it is about just driving on, seeing how we do. There's no expectation for Burnley. Obviously, we all want to see us win. I think a draw I'd be really happy with. But if we lose, we lose. You have 2 games in the week at home to put it right, and I know that they will.
Yeah, and I think, just looking at some of the results, we're unbeaten in 6 now,
Yeah.
as well. We're getting a bit of a run together, and I do think as well, you see them at the end of all the videos at home when they're coming back into the dressing room. The effect that Robbo
Yeah.
having around the team as well at the moment. Everything's just positive at the moment, and it's really
Yeah.
exciting. It's great to be a Watford fan again. We were saying, I think last season we were struggling at times still, and it's been tough over the last few years. We've had horrendous home form. Unbeaten in 16. It's great to see Vicarage Road a fortress again.
Mhm.
Who knows when we'll see a run like this again at Vicarage Road, and
And it's busy. Like, there's
yeah,
people there. Like,
well,
even where I
exactly,
sit, well, there's normally like, you even sit no, it's normally empty. Like, there's always spare seats. But yesterday it was rammed. Like, there was no spare seats. Like, I remember where I sit in my row, it used to literally be like no one was there. It's full now.
yeah,
And the atmosphere is good. When it was 2-1, the Vic erupts into noise. It's not like, oh God, here we go. It's encouragement. And I know it sounds a bit cringe, but like, it does help.
yeah. No, it does. I agree, and it's great that fans are wanting to be there again and support the team. And yeah, long may it continue. And just before we just summarise, with the rest of the season, I said to myself to expect the unexpected, as this is the Championship and anything could happen with results going our way, and hoping our away form improves. Yeah, that's probably the right thing there, Matt. I completely agree with that. You have to expect the unexpected. I would like to think, if we pick up some good results leading into the Fulham game, as much as I want us to have a cup run, as much as I'd love us to go to
Hopefully.
Fulham, I just, I would really, really love to just concentrate on the league and just give it a real good go. It'll be great if we could go to Fulham and get something. Obviously, we know now there's no replays, so it's not like we will have a game back at Vicarage Road. But yeah, it's exciting times, and here's to the rest of the season. But yeah, thanks ever so much, everyone, for all your comments this evening. It's been great having so many people comment. Obviously, if you're not subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button. Also, if you've liked the pod, please hit that like button as well. We are just trying to get up. I think we're about 3 or 4 away now from 600 subscribers, so it'd be great to hit that over the next week leading into Christmas and the new year. But we do appreciate all your support and everyone tuning in. It's been, like I say, a great evening discussing the game yesterday. Just to point out as well, we've got our Christmas special coming out on Wednesday. We had great fun recording that on Friday. It was brilliant getting together and having a bit of a laugh and just, a few silly things and talking Christmas and Watford. So that'll be out on Wednesday. So do look out for that. But yeah, thanks ever so much, everyone. We'll be back at some point in the week with a Burnley preview and then a review after the game next week. But yeah, thanks ever so much, everyone. Take care. Have a good evening.